Coach, we'll get an opening statement from you, and then hope we can set the questions.
First, just really proud of the effort that our kids played with. Played a really, really good team. They ranked, obviously, we ranked higher a couple weeks ago before they lost a couple. Put a lot of pressure on you to be able to take them off the three-point line. And obviously, our guys were pretty dialed in to getting that done. Came in shooting a nation's leading 45% from three, making well over 10 a game. And so to hold them to 2 made threes was obviously a heck of a feat. Now, obviously, they really good teams found another way to win. That's what they did today. They got to the offensive glass. They drove the ball probably more and finished around the basket. But our guys competed their butts off. And I'm really proud of that. I'm really thankful for our fans. I thought they helped us today. They helped give us a chance to get off to a good start in conference play. And so I'm thankful for that. I hope they keep showing up. I've got a bunch of young guys out there who, I think anybody with 2 good eyes can see that from November 6th to today, we're a much better team. We still, though, had some critical errors that we got to get corrected to be able to close a game like today out. You tell me we go 4 for 20 from 3. I don't feel good about it going in, but I thought our defense, for the most part, made our free throws, and we competed our butts off, again, on the defensive end. So thankful for that, but we're on 1. And at the end of the day, that's really the bottom line of it, and we got to find a way now to go, try to get one on the road, because that's what happens when you lose one at home. You got to go on the road and get it figured out. But I'm very thankful of the kids we have. I think they'll come back tomorrow with the right mindset, and we'll be prepared to go on the road and try to get our win in our next game.
We were talking a week ago about Brandan Garrison, how far he'd come. He said, yeah, it was slowing down for him, but he still had a ways to go. You said he still had a ways to go. He closed a little in the last week.
He has. And the truth of it is, Robert, he's still just scratching the surface of what he can be. He really doesn't know how good he can be yet, which is probably a good thing, because he doesn't have a corrupted mind. He's not in a rush to go somewhere. And that's a big part of the reason he's been able to get better. It's because he's where his feet are, so to speak. He's focused on getting better every day. And I'm not going to promise he's going to get 28 and 4 every night, but we're going to see him, grow into a player that our fans will appreciate, and that'll help us win a lot of games moving forward.
How valuable is it to have a big man that will run the floor too? The way 2 of his blocks, he ends up scoring on the other end on the break.
Yeah, he's a phenomenal athlete. Again, just 19 years old. He's special, and he's gonna get better. He's gotten better. Remember, on November 6th, he scored 0 points. I think he grabbed 0 rebounds too in game 1. And it's easy to start. The coach isn't playing you right, but he just shows up and does his job. So sorry for being emotional, but I'm just proud of him, because we needed this from him today. And to see him give us a chance, makes 2 free throws after getting drugged to the floor, nobody on the line, to tie the game and give us a chance to take the lead. It was big time.
You talked about coaching the freshmen harder this year.
Yeah.
How has Brandan responded to that?
You can't get better unless you want to. And he has a great desire to improve. And it's my job then. That's my job. It's to make him better. And I'm not taking credit for it. I'm just saying our staff has a responsibility when a kid who has that ability comes in here to make sure that he's better because he's here, and he is.
Brandan got that block, and the ball gets out to Javonte. He throws it down. I mean, it's nitpicky, but do you tell Javonte a lot, hey, we want the ball in your hands? I mean, we want you to create something, because he looked for it, and he hit an open man, but Baylor collapsed on cue and got the basketball. I mean,
yeah, it happens fast.
It does.
really hasn't been in that situation. He'll learn from it. We obviously would rather have Javon making the decision with the ball. Probably would want to take the last shot. I think the shot clock's off at that point. But you live with the instincts of your kids. Q competed his butt off, made a bad decision in that moment. I think he knows it. I don't want him to feel like it's the end of the world. That one play wasn't the only mistake we made as a team. And so it was one of the mistakes we made. And the other, just when it happened, right, gets kind of magnified. Well, we also had a turnover in the backcourt up 4. We blew a couple ball screen assignments. So you can go back and look at all of them, and that would be on the list, no question. We'll probably watch it tomorrow and teach from it. But I want those guys to play with as much confidence in their decision making as possible, because the hardest thing to do, especially in this league, when teams are coming at you like these teams do, is to not believe in your own ability to make the right decision. And then you got to come sit by us, which nobody wants to do. So,
do you think you guys proved something, maybe to the outside, maybe to yourselves, that you can compete in this league this year despite the early season struggles?
In all honesty, I don't know if maybe some of our young guys who haven't been in a game with this gravity, right? Again, we told them it still counts the same as all the other 13 we played to this point. It'll count the same as all the 18 or more we'll play moving forward. But there's more at stake in conference play. The quality of these games matter if you're talking resume talk later in the year. And so I think to some of them, it kind of took a little while for them to realize, okay, we're good enough to do this. And I think Brandan is a great example of that. I think he was kind of a little bit more timid early, and got more and more aggressive and more confident in what he was doing out there as the game went along. But it's no surprise to me. I think we have a talented group. We're young. We make some young mistakes at times. But to watch those guys compete the way they did today, it gets me excited. I'm ready to go back to practice. Like, I want to help these guys get better and help them win the next game and go out and play.
What made it difficult to defend the points in the paint against Baylor, because they scored 50 points in the paint today?
Well, we're trying to defend the points from the three-point line. They have, I think they have 8 guys who shoot over 40% from 3. And none of them shoot, 1 a game. They all shoot 5 or 6 threes a game. And that means they're making 2 to 3 each. And so you kind of got to pick what you're can't take everything away. It's not realistic. There's too many good players out there. The coaches make adjustments. So we were really focused on defending the 3. And to that point, we had the ball in the tie game with no time, with basically to take the last shot. And game went overtime, and we were right there in a possession game. So we got to be a little bit better in different points of the game, but I feel good about our game plan going in, and probably would try to play them the same if we played them on Tuesday. Because I don't think you can live and hope that they miss, if they only shot 15 threes, which is a big part of defending them, is not letting them get 40 of them off, because they're not going to make 2 out of 40. So you kind of got to pick your poison, so to speak. And today we thought we'd try to make them beat us from 2, and they were good enough to do it.
You mentioned late mistakes get magnified. Eric was dribbling the ball up the floor. Did you expect Dennis to switch off? Kind of what went into that play for you?
Yeah, a lot. So it's actually something we've been working on the last couple of days, because we talked about shrinking down, so guys are playing more minutes. So how do we still get a little bit of a breather for Vaughn, for Bryce? So we had them switch and bring the ball up some. They both were pretty gassed there late, but we want to run action and get them the ball. And so Daly usually has a bigger non-guard guarding him, and they just switched Vaughn's man. I turned around. I didn't even see it, because I saw Vaughn about to be pressured until Eric to just bring it and to run the action. And by the time I turned around, I have to watch on film exactly what happened, but they were laying the ball up.
The offensive rebounds, is that a matter of some of that blocking out Brandon's guy when he's out helping? What kind of goes in there?
There's an element of that, no question. When you're aggressive blocking shots, that means you can't go to block a shot and grab a rebound at the same time. So you're vulnerable there. We got to get better with our guards, rebounding for us. But again, his effort there was exactly what we needed. We forced him to take a lot of floaters. They made a few of them. But again, I think that was the right way to try to play them. We just got to finish those possessions a little bit more. Obviously, a big one late to end regulation that almost cost us the game before it even got to overtime.
earlier this week you talked about, regardless of the result of today, you move on, you got another game in 2 or 3 days. Is that easier? Is that harder based off, an overtime loss that, y'all were never fully out of? Is that easier or harder?
No, I mean, it's the same level of difficult. If you come out this game with a win, I feel even more, on edge, probably to make sure our guys don't get like the mistakes didn't happen, But again, I've been through this league 6 times, and I understand the gravity of each game, each practice, each possession within the game, and so we got to make sure we come back tomorrow. I mean, I wasn't trying to project a win. I was hoping we'd win the game, but tomorrow's really, really key that we get back and get ready to play on Tuesday.
This is a different team than you've had in the years past, younger, like you said, a lot of transfers, a lot of things. Is that something that now, 14 games in, that you're taking more pride because you have gotten this far, that you are able to take a top 20 team to overtime? Is that something that, for you and your coaching staff, you can kind of take more pride in than these guys have been here for 2 or 3 years? They know what to expect.
I don't know if I really think about it in that regard, but I understand it's the landscape of college athletics. Roster turnover is a real thing. It's going to continue to be that way, probably, unless something drastic happens to change it. I just try to take as much pride in helping guys who come to our program get better. And, when they step on this campus in June, our job is to make sure that they're better because they made a decision to come here and play for us. And I think, for the most part, we've done that throughout our time here. And it'll certainly continue because we take that approach every single day and every single year, every season.
So you can't replicate game stress, game speed, except to play the game. Right?
Sure.
So I mean, like guys like Connor.
Sure.
Do you just have to kind of wedge them in there and get them hardened that way?
Some.
So that you don't have 40 minutes, 42 minutes, 38 and a half minutes. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There comes a point where their practice prep has to be that gives us confidence that they can get in. I don't know what it is, 5 minutes, 8 minutes, to give those other guys a little bit of breather, but it's part of the process, Bill. I still remember, and just because I have a good memory, I remember several games my freshman year, feeling like I was ready, and looking back now at 41, right, being a coach, knowing I probably wasn't ready to go to Thompson Bowling Arena in Knoxville and help South Carolina win that game. I was more likely that I was going to have a couple turnovers and maybe miss an open shot and get pissed about missing a shot that I didn't get back on defense, and maybe in a minute and a half put our team in a deficit. I don't think any of our guys are that way, but it takes time. My point is it takes some time. Jacoby Walter is one of the few freshmen in our whole conference that are playing. We got 2, probably the leading, because we got 2 of them starting in our league. So it's the nature of college basketball. It's older than it's ever been, and we're probably one of the younger teams on the other end of the spectrum that are trying to get our young guys some opportunities.
So I saw Brandan Garrison maybe play 10 times, and that's where you saw him 100. I don't see any reason why he can't kind of, maybe like you say, not 28 and 4 or not, but I don't see any reason why he can't outrun people to the rim and block shots every night.
Yeah, those are effort, and then it's habits. It's getting your body conditioned and having a discipline to do it, because a lot of it, like you're saying, it's a decision, right? Running isn't a skill, it's an athletic ability, and if you do it every time, you'll outwill your opponent most nights. Today, I thought he was in many regards, he was the best player on the court today. And we didn't get the dub, but I thought he was really, really good.
Did Q have a lot of the responsibility on Walter?
He did. He was the starter on him. He drew that assignment today. Thought he did a really good job. But by the nature of the way we played, we had other guys guard him some. Javonte guarded him some. And again, when we shrink down the rotation, guys take on different, probably an elevated level of responsibility. And you're trying to rest offensively or defensively, depending on what you got going on, guys to put in different positions. So you don't want Q having to run on baseline screens the whole game. So maybe BT does it some, maybe Javon does it some. When John Michael comes in, he does it some. But yeah, Q had the main responsibility there.
Yeah, but see, I mean, that's a pedestrian game for that kid.
Yeah,
what he's done.
Leading freshman scorer in the league, leading scorer on a top 20 team in the country. Probably if today were to vote, he'd be the freshman of the year. So another night where Q stepped up on the defensive end. And so, that, to the point about the turnover earlier,
Right,
you got to kind of take the whole game into account.
Yeah, I was trying to balance.
Yeah, and it's not an excuse. Like, we can't have the turnover. It's too critical of a moment. We got to get a shot there. We could get the last shot there. But we can't ignore the fact that he drew the most important defensive assignment and held, Baylor's best player to probably his worst game so far of his career.
Javonte kept you guys afloat early. What did you kind of think of his first game in the Big 12? Did you learn anything about him that you didn't know going into today?
Not really. Kind of used to him having the ability to take measure of the game, take stock in how he's being guarded. They changed their coverages. They were in drop coverage early with him, so he was able to get downhill, and then he was able to put BG in position to get some lobs late. But he also got some time to find his three-point shots. What I've got to do is try to find some time to get him off the ball. A few more possessions so that he's not having to bounce it into every shot that he makes throughout the whole game.
For 1 or 2 more.
Javonte said this is y'all's most complete game. He said best game this season. Would you agree with that? And also, how do you kind of take what y'all did today and replicate that for 17 more times in the regular season?
I thought the consistency of our competitiveness throughout was probably the best. Our best game can't be in a loss.
Yeah.
So, but I understand the sentiment, and I think he was coming from that place. Like, we competed the whole way. We got pretty much the shots we want. We forced them to take the shots we wanted them to take. We didn't rebound it as well as we should have. We didn't take care of the ball in critical moments as well as we should have. And we need to get those things corrected before Tuesday.
You guys were up 4, and then Baylor hit the 4-point play with like 2 minutes to go. Did you feel like that was a momentum swinger?
It was a big play. It was a big play. It was one of the blown ball screen coverage assignments we had there. And I can't remember the exact time of the clock, but I think it was later in the clock. But again, a stop there, puts you in position to start maybe using some clock, put them in position where maybe they got to think how aggressive they need to be defensively if they want to foul. So when it gets to tie, everything about it changes. So absolutely.
Can I just ask you real quick about your relationship with Dave Hunziker, broadcasted his 1,000th career game for Oklahoma State? Just kind of curious what your relationship's like with him. I mean, he obviously was here the whole time you've been here, and long before that too. Just what's it been like working with him and being around him?
Yeah, I'm actually very thankful you asked that, because I didn't want to make it seem like I was deflecting away from the game. But Dave Hunziker is probably as good as they get, and obviously I don't know 300 announcers in the country. I've worked with several, being at different schools. Professional, genuine, honest, knowledgeable, passionate. There's not enough words that I could use to describe how well he does his job. And it's one of the things I admire about people is being the best at what you do is really hard, especially when a lot of people do it. And I don't know if I would be able to find many people that come close. I don't obviously hear him during our games, but I listen to him when I'm traveling on football or baseball. And again, the way he tells a story, paints the picture, you still feel like you're in the building watching the game. So I'm very thankful that I was able to be a part of today with him. It's a special moment for him and his family. But more important that I've been able to develop a friendship with him. Phenomenal person.